Welcome to the Resilience Building Program. I'm your host, Roger Ruge. I'm hailing you today from the Colorado Rocky Mountains. I got my warm stuff on, a little fire in the background over there, trying to stay warm on a beautiful snowy day. And I thought I'd take advantage of this moment to pass on something that really busts a lot of myths around mindfulness and meditation. You know, so often we think that we have to go abandon our lives, live in a cave in the Himalayas, and have a guru rub patchouli oil on our feet while we stare at a candle flame for the next 20 years to get somewhere in meditation. And it's absolutely not true. In fact, one of the best ways to begin a meditation process is to just take 3 minutes. And people always push back on me, say, Roger, come on, 3 minutes. What's 3 minutes going to do? Well, there's been a number of studies that show when we do a short 3-minute meditation, we get up to 6 hours of parasympathetic restoration to our nervous system. Now, why is that important? Well, if you look at our resilience building program, one of the very first videos I did was talking about restoring and the parasympathetic nervous system. Check out that video. But for this video, just trust me when I say this is something that all of us really need when we consider the pace of modern times and the flood of stress chemicals that we're under constantly. We need to counterbalance that. And this is what a 3-minute meditation can do for you. And again, a 3-minute investment for a 6-hour return on that investment. Yeah, I think we can handle that even in today's busy world. Now, there's a couple of ways to enhance this 3-minute meditation process, and that's what I'm going to give you today is just the ins and outs of how you can accomplish this for yourself. And then you can try it right after this video. Remember that you don't want to do any of these practices when you're in the middle of something. This is where we want to be safe, set ourselves aside to do this, obviously not while you're driving. We don't want to have anything else to focus on except the following activity. So the basic setup for meditation is to sit in an elegant posture. We'd like to keep our spine straight, and we don't want to slouch, but we don't want to be rigid either. So we want to kind of find that sweet spot where the spine is open and straight, but also loose and supple, if that makes sense. We want to keep our feet flat on the floor. We don't want to cross our legs, nor do we want to cross our arms. And the reason for that is it creates a crossing pattern in the brain, and that disrupts the meditation process for what we're going to do in this specific meditation. So, feet flat on the floor, and your arms are uncrossed and resting comfortably on your lap, whatever that looks like. Now, I'm going to encourage you to touch your thumb and middle fingers together in any way that feels good around that middle finger pad. And you've seen this as a classic meditation posture, right? Well, there's a lot of reasons for it, but one of the primary reasons I like this particular aspect is the right and left hemisphere of the brain have to work together to touch these 2 points. And what we end up with is a little bit more of a balanced brain that allows us to get into the meditation more quickly, the deeper states of it. So just touching the fingers together and resting the hands anywhere that's comfortable on your lap, as long as those arms aren't crossed, excellent. Can't mess it up. We're going to breathe only through the nose. And my general philosophy, except for very few exercises, is nasal breathing for everything. This is for breathing. This is for eating. Just use that as your general rule and you'll be in great shape. And again, we have other videos on why nasal breathing. You can check those out on the channel. We're also going to encourage you to close your eyes during a meditation practice to take away some of the visual stimulation that tends to distract us. However, for some folks, they could feel a little unsafe. So, if that's you, and you don't enjoy closing your eyes, that's all right. Just take a soft focus. In other words, a lazy gaze, not looking at anything in particular out there, but just softening that focus so everything's a little out of focus, so to speak. And while we've got the nose going and the eyes softly focused, we're also going to choose 2 words. A word for the in-breath and a word for the out-breath. This gives our mind the ability to focus on something that's kind of mundane, but it keeps the mind from its tendency to wander. So this is a way of giving it a small task that doesn't let the mind kind of take off into all kinds of tangents like it's designed to do. I mean, that's what it does, and we're trying to counterbalance that effect as well. So by touching these 2 points and keeping our hands on our laps, the right and left brain tend to come into a little greater degree of synchronicity. And as we choose a word on the inhale and a different word on the exhale, the mind has that task, and those 2 things together tend to keep it focused for the 3 minutes that we're asking it to focus. Now, what word should you choose? Choose anything. In, out, if you're not very creative. I personally like to add a little bit of positivity to the words that I choose as I'm inhaling and exhaling. So it might be peace, love, happiness, joy, here, now. It doesn't really matter. You pick the words that make sense to you, that feel good to you, and that will become one word on the inhale, different word on the exhale. And so all we're going to do is sit quietly, again, closing the eyes or taking that lazy gaze, and we're just going to breathe in through the nose with our word, and we say it silently in our mind, and we exhale. And we're going to do some LSD, light, slow, deep breathing. So what that means is we're going to breathe a little deeper and a little slower than our usual pace. Approximately 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out is wonderful because that puts us in 6 breaths a minute. And when we're at 6 breaths a minute, we're parasympathetically restorative. We're parasympathetically restorative by breathing through the nose, by closing down the visual stimulation, by not keeping the arms and legs crossed. All these things add to this little bucket that creates a pretty powerful 3-minute meditation. So your job is to do nothing more than put those components together for 3 minutes. Set a timer and make sure your timer isn't really like a nasty, loud, buzzy thing at the end of it, right? Make it something that you'd enjoy to be awoken by. And as you are doing this process, just know that you don't have to obsess over the 5 seconds in and 5 seconds out. Just approximate that. Consider it just a little deeper and a little slower than usual. And I'm also going to encourage you to try to breathe more into the center of the heart. Now, we've gone into great detail on this in previous videos, but suffice it to say, we have about 40,000 neurites in our heart, which are very similar to the neurons in our brain. It's called the heart brain. And when we have these areas of the neurites in the heart calm, it signals the amygdala that our environment is safe and we can relax just a little bit more. Again, we don't have to take a deep dive into the science. Your job is to simply just breathe into the chest area, the center of the heart, whatever feels right to you, with all those other little pieces. And now you do that for 3 minutes. So again, here's a quick recap. Arms and legs uncrossed, fingers touching on the middle finger to give the brain a balance point between the 2 hemispheres. We breathe in through the nose, we take a lazy gaze or close our eyes entirely. We pick a word for the inhale and a word for the exhale. We breathe a little slower and a little deeper than usual into the chest area, and we just do that for 3 minutes. That's your 3-minute meditation. Now, I get the question often, how often should I practice this? As often as you feel like it. I like to do this between things. If I have ended a call with a coaching client, for example, I might take one of these moments to do 3 minutes and just kind of reset myself so that I feel balanced, centered, grounded, peaceful. I finish a project and I do it. I do some housework and I come back and do it again. Let me say it to you this way. You can't overdo it. And the more that you do it, the greater the return on the investment. And what you'll find is over time, as you get better and better at this 3 minutes, you might want 4, 10. Maybe you want to go 15 or 20 because you're just feeling so good. There's no limit to how far this can expand. You could literally do something like this for hours. Would you want to? Maybe. Do you need to? Not necessarily, because in 3 minutes, we can hit that restoration process and become parasympathetically restored. And that's the whole point here, friends. We're under the hormones of stress all day long. The pace of modern times is pretty brutal. And so now we're counterbalancing that with some DHEA and other positive chemicals that your body is flooding into that bloodstream in support of you. One of the biggest complaints I have is time. 3 minutes. If you don't have 3 minutes for your own self-care, I can't help you. All right, that's the 3-minute meditation. Let me know in the comments section below how this goes for you. And if you want any other clarifications, if I've left something out or confused you in any way, hit me up in the comments section. We'll have a discussion. I'll get you on board. And of course, always reach out to me for anything that you need resilience related. That's what I do. I am a resilience coach. All right, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Take good care, everybody.